Yo, what's up everybody? It's me, WDMichael, and in today's YouTube video, we're going to be talking about the brand new DLC coming to the Pokemon Scarlet video games, the Teal Mask. It comes out in 6 days, and with that, we've talked, or at least we've seen from some of the official Pokemon announcements, some of the returning Pokemon that we know are going to be coming into this video game. Now, what I want to do in this video is I want to actually rate all of these Pokemon as kind of how they're going to actually affect the game, specifically for a VGC standpoint, because I really enjoy playing VGC and hosting competitive tournaments. So I kind of want to see what's coming back and what's been useful in some of the previous generations and what might actually start stirring up the meta that we have right now. Now, in this video, I will not be talking about any spoilers of any kind. There will be nothing in this video that goes over anything that's been leaked online. It will specifically be information that we've seen from official Pokemon announcements that everybody knows about. So don't worry about that. I won't be ruining the game for you in this one. So let's hop into the tier list and check it out. Yeah, all right, so we've got our list of Pokemon. These are all the returning Pokemon that we are aware of. Now let's talk about them specifically for like VGC and or just like overall how cool they are, man. A lot of these Pokemon are going to be super viable in VGC and some of them probably aren't going to be. It really just depends on what we end up getting. First off with Arbok. Now with me personally, I've never seen Arbok in any sort of competitive VGC format of any kind. I haven't been able to play with them. I haven't seen them. This is actually one I don't know, and I'm actually really curious because Arbok is one of those Gen 1 Pokemon. It's been really cool. The typing on it is, I mean, decent. I could see it possibly being used, but again, with the stats and stuff like that, the move pool that it gets, I'm not 100% sure on this one. I don't know. This is actually one that stuffs me. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna say honestly, oh whoops, wrong Pokemon. I'm gonna give this guy a B. One, I think Arbok is flipping cool as heck. It's one of the just like more like just better designs. It's a really gorgeous design for Pokemon. But as far as VG standpoint, I don't know how it's gonna affect. We'll see how it ends up coming out. I don't know what its move pool is. Now, this is one that I know of very much, and it's going to affect VGC a vast amount. At least I'm thinking it will, because it did a lot in Sword and Shield, and that was with the Dynamax format. And in a Dynamax format, this Pokemon still did really crazy things, so I think it could still do a lot in VGC. But especially with Urshifu around, that was one of the big things was Clefairy. Clefairy was crazy with Friend Guard, being able to reduce damage to your opposing team. Follow me. Like that Pokemon was actually really good. It was used a lot in Dynamax. I remember using it a lot with like P2, Glastrier. I mean, it was really good. It was a solid Pokemon, and I really think that it's going to come in and do some work again. Obviously, we've got a lot of Urshifu. Urshifu don't really enjoy hitting this Pokemon. They don't really do a lot of damage, and they can kind of be annoying to Urshifu. I mean, when you have an Urshifu that's Dark Terror and it's a 4 times weak and you get slapped by a Clefairy, it can knock you out. So it was one thing that I always really loved with the Sword and Shield format was Clefairy was cool as heck. It was really dominant. Clefable wasn't used as much just due to the fact that he didn't have the Eviolite. And I believe that its ability Friend Guard actually got changed when it evolved to Clefable, so it wasn't as viable. It wasn't seen a whole lot, especially compared to its unevolved form Clefairy. Clefable's still cool. I really like Clefable. I love the whole Moonstone kind of thing. Like, they're definitely a great Gen 1 Pokemon, and I'm a big fan. Ninetales is going to be a Pokemon that I think is going to automatically just hop right in and really is going to change the meta from what we know. With a lot of the weather teams that we've been seeing, you know, we've seen a lot of rain. We've seen some of the sun teams, but unfortunately with some of the sun teams, they haven't really had the best options for setting up their weather. I mean, when you talk about rain teams, Pelipper is insane. It's in a fantastic rain setter. It does a lot of things in, you know, that it can do as far as support that Torkoal right now really doesn't have the option. You know, Pelipper's got Tailwind. Torkoal doesn't have Tailwind. So like Torkoal's cool and all, it's usable, but I really think that Ninetales coming into the meta is going to change that greatly. Ninetales is a top tier weather setter, and it's going to be really, really cool because obviously I think with that one, we're also going to get the snow version as well. So that means more Aurora Veil. Like, both these Pokemon are going to be really solid weather setters. And I know recently we've seen a lot of Blizzard teams. You know, they've been using Abomasnow, but now they're going to have access to Alola Ninetales, which could be pretty decent. So I think both those are going to be used quite regularly. Now, Poliwrath, I'll be honest, I don't really think Poliwrath does a whole lot. It's kind of a cool Pokemon, but I don't really think that its stats or its move pool are better than some of the other Pokemon we have, like Urshifu. So I mean, he's cool and all, he's gonna be fun, but he's probably not gonna be used. Like shiny hunting, he's gonna be fantastic. I'm definitely gonna be shiny hunting him. Snorlax, I love Snorlax, man. In Gigantamax, he was fantastic. We being able to use like Indeedee to kind of build up your Snorlax with Belly Drum, fantastic. I loved using it. It was really, really cool. I don't think it's gonna be as dominant in this format. You don't have the Gigantamax form. Snorlax is cool and all, but I think that without that really big, like, it's not gonna be as usable, unfortunately. Still cool. I bet you some people are still gonna use them, but I don't think it's gonna be as oppressive as it was in Sword and Shield. Furret and its evolutions, I don't really see anything happening to this guy, to be honest. I mean, he's cool, he's a little goofy guy, but I don't really see a whole lot of VGC coming out of this dude. And I'm not really super stoked about shiny hunting, so yeah, I think he falls in a D. Noctowl, I don't think it's one of those like VGC heavy Pokemon. I don't really think it has tools that outbeat like other Pokemon that would do the same kind of stuff that it does, so probably not going to do a whole lot, but shiny hunting is going to be pretty cool. I'm stoked about that one. This dude, Politoed, is probably going to do some stuff in the meta with the, you know, being able to be in rain and stuff like that, giving us some other options. It was used previously in Sword and Shield and some other metas, so I mean, it's definitely a Pokemon that's been VGC viable, and with a lot of the water and rain stuff that's been happening, man, it could still be viable. I could see it definitely being used. Now, I don't really know. I haven't seen a whole lot of VGC with this guy before. I don't know what its impact is going to be. I haven't seen, you know, a lot of competitive teams from different tournaments, stuff like that, with it popping up in the previous events. I'm not as familiar with it, so I don't think it's going to be something where it's going to shake up the meta and blow everything up. I don't think it does that. Cool Pokemon, but not super VGC, I think, explosive. Shift Tree, again, I think it's another one of those ones where we probably have other Pokemon that probably do what it does better. I mean, you've got Rillaboom. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a grass Pokemon on your team, are you gonna have a Shift Tree or a Rillaboom? I'm probably gonna go with Rillaboom, like, if I'm gonna be honest. Unless they give it something crazy where it can really like outpace Rillaboom or do something that Rillaboom can't, I feel like a lot of people are gonna be hard pressed to swap that out. This guy, great shiny. I don't ever remember any sort of VGC kind of like, I don't think there's any VGC viability out of him. I don't think there's gonna be anything crazy with this guy. He's probably just gonna be a mid-tier, just kind of cool Pokemon edition and something we can shiny at. Now, Milotic, on the other hand, is going to be one of those Pokemon I think is going to really affect a lot of what's happening in our meta. As far as a water Pokemon like Milotic, it does a lot of things that not a lot of other water Pokemon have a huge availability to do. It can boost itself up a lot. It can be super like, hi cat. It can be super, it'll boost itself up a lot. It's got a lot of survivability. It's got decent damage. It's got recovery. Like it was a menace in Sword and Shield. It did a lot. It ended up being one of those Pokemon where, you know, if you weren't dealing with it right or you weren't prepped for it, it would single-handedly just rock your team out because you couldn't knock it out. Coil is super rough, and just about any other of its moves, like Scald it had. I mean, it's got a really nice move pool with recovery and also boost stats. I really think that that's going to be a Pokemon that's going to, it's going to have an immediate effect on the metagame. Hi, Kitty. Want to say hi? Without ruining my shirt while I'm trying to make this video. Hi! This is Tyrion. You hungry? Yeah, let me finish this. All right, now Dusclops, absolutely. I think Dusclops does some things with Trick Room specifically. Trick Room teams have definitely been at a point where they kind of have some of the tools they need, but with all the other hyper offensive stuff out there, it's still at the point where Trick Room, as it always been, it's kind of, it's mid-ground. It's not anything where it's super, you know, prevalent. Like in Sword and Shield, man, Trick Room was one of those things you really had to deal with because, man, you have to deal with 5 turns of Trick Room with the Gigantamax, Calyrex, or, you know, any of those really slow Pokemon that really dominated in Trick Room, and you boost them up with Dynamax, Gigantamax, you had problems. Trick Room isn't as big of an issue now because you don't have to worry about Dynamax and all that other kind of stuff. It's a little bit easier to just overall burn out turns. So Dusclops is a really, really good Trick Room Pokemon. It was used a lot competitively in Pokemon Sword and Shield. And I really think that it's one of those Pokemon where I think that we're going to see some pretty decent usage out of it. It used to have, Pain Split was by far one of the best moves that it had. It was really, really cool. And gave it a lot of recovery that it needed. My cat was, he did not want to leave me alone. He is hungry. So we're going to finish with this one so I can go feed his butt. But yeah, Dusclops, great Pokemon. I think with all the tools that it has, especially if it gets a lot of the returning tools that it had previously in Sword and Shield, is going to shake up the Trick Room meta really, really well. Milotic is another great addition kind of with Trick Room, and Dusclops definitely helps out with that a lot. His move pool is crazy, and with an Eviolite, he can do a lot of work. So I think that's a good one. All right, now with Chimecho, I don't think it's going to be something crazy as far as Pokemon VGC goes. It was never really anything that I noticed. I don't think it's kind of more of a frail Pokemon. It'll probably be, it might be around a little bit, but I think mostly this is going to be one of those ones where I'm super excited to shiny hunt. I think it's a really cool design for Pokemon, and I'm excited to snag that one. Absolutely. I don't think that these two, I don't think that Ambipom or Apom, I don't think that these guys are going to really be doing a whole lot in VGC. They don't really have any move pools that are better than other Pokemon, I don't think. Like, we're going to be getting Incineroar soon. We've got other fake out people like Iron Hands. I don't think that it beats Iron Hands, to be honest. Like, that's simple thing. I don't think that you're ever going to get Iron Hands out of there with an Ambipom. I think it's probably going to end up being better. Same with the Yanmega. I don't think that there's, it's one of those Pokemon where I think that there are other Pokemon in the meta still that just do what it would end up doing better. Now, Gligar, Gliscor, all these kind of Pokemon, from what I remember in previous metas, they were somewhat viable and they have decent, move pools. They should be able to have some sort of decent stats. This one actually could be pretty decent in VGC. I think that we might see it a little bit more. We didn't end up seeing a lot in Sword and Shield, but it did take a break during that generation. So who knows? Maybe this comes in really strong. This would be really cool to see. Also, on top of the fact that it's got an absolutely gorgeous shiny, and I'm super excited to hunt that one for shiny. Mamo, I mean, man, I want to say A or B. I think he's going to be around. He's definitely a really bulky Pokemon. The problem is, like, is Mamo going to be like this Trick Room kind of, great test where we're going to be able to get some really good damage out of him with Trick Room? Or is he just going to fall flat in Trick Room and he's not going to be as viable? I don't know 100% yet, but I think that there's a possibility. On top of the fact that, again, another really dope shiny, and I'm excited to hunt that one. Dusknoir, I don't think is going to be as beneficial to VGC as Dusclops is. I just don't think it's going to happen. As far as like what it does and what it provides, Eviolite, like with Clefairy and Dusclops, Eviolite was really the big thing that made those Pokemon so strong, because you boost up so much of their defense, they ended up getting really, really tanky. Well, Dusknoir, I mean, great, he has, a cool move pool, but the problem is when you use those Pokemon, you lose a lot of that tankiness, and that's kind of one of the big factors of them with Trick Room, is that you want them to be able to live through a bunch of stuff to get the Trick Room up, so that then you can heal them up later on when Trick Room is actually up. And so Pokemon that don't have that bulk end up being not as useful when you're thinking about Trick Room. So that's kind of where I'd put him. I think that Chandelure is kind of the same area. I don't think it's going to immediately affect the meta just due to the fact that, well, I mean, we have Fluttermane, we have Urshifu. Those two Pokemon alone really don't make Chandelure super happy. Now with Terastallization, on the other hand, I don't know, maybe we find some ways to make Chandelure work. Chandelure was a decent Pokemon in Sword and Shield with Imprison, Shadow Ball, like, it was almost like a Trick Room Heat Ran kind of a deal. And so I could see it happening. I don't think it's going to be an S tier where it's just like, it's going to be plugged in, it's going to be used a lot, and it's going to end up just ruining everybody's tier. I don't think it's going to be like that. So, I mean, it should be decent. I think it'll be good. One of the Pokemon that I know isn't on here that I actually just realized isn't on this list yet is Metagross. Metagross was one of those Pokemon that was released that we kind of figured out, we saw with the Beldum. Metagross is going to absolutely shake up the meta. I can tell you right now, if I were to have Metagross on this list, he would immediately be in an S tier, because that Pokemon did insane things. He's a pseudo legendary. He's gotten a great typing. He's got a great move pool, and with Terastallization, he's going to be phenomenal. Metagross, not on the list, but if he was, S tier, absolutely all the way. It's going to be used, and you got to watch out for it. Also, in fact, that's got an absolutely cool shiny too. I want that one, man. Now the rest of these guys, I don't really see any viability. I mean, Cramorant, as we all know, is Cramorant. He's not going to be great. Actually, he probably just goes in D. Jangmo, I think, is going to be decent. He was used a little bit in Sword and Shield. He had some viability. Wasn't the greatest, like a niche pick. Could be cool, but probably not going to shake up the meta. Same way. I mean, this is another one where he's actually really good in Trick Room, and could be used. But again, it was always like there was always something better in Trick Room that I wanted. If I wanted to bring Vikavolt, like, why don't I just bring Calyrex Ice or Torkoal? They're both slower. They do what it. So it's like it's one of those. Is there a better Pokemon for the job? And generally there probably is, especially that Pokemon. I think the same goes with the Tree. Tree, it's a ghost grass. It's gonna have some viability, obviously, with being grass, but like really, it's probably not gonna be used a whole lot, and will probably fall to the wayside. But is one of my absolute favorite shiny Pokemon ever, because it reminds me of the Game of Thrones Werewood tree when it's shiny. It's got that white bark and the red leaves. By far one of the top 3 shiny Pokemon I've ever caught, and I love that one, so I'm excited to do that one. I'll be honest, so here's my tier list of the returning Pokemon. I don't think that they're all on here, but hey, it gives us an idea at least to start with some of them. So let me know down in the comments where you would have put some of these Pokemon. If you feel like I put them in a wrong slot, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. We can talk about it in the comments. Or if there's other Pokemon that I missed in this one, let me know, because I may just end up redoing this tier list later on and adding those Pokemon in. So if I missed anything that's actually verified, please let me know. I would love to hear about it. Thank you all for coming out to the video, and I'm super excited for the Paldea DLC. I hope you are. The Teal Mask looks fantastic, and we'll have a couple of days with it. Remember, I will be live on my Twitch channel playing this as the game comes out and doing a ton of content with it, either shiny hunting, playing VGC, building teams, playing through the story, whatever it is end up being. I'm going to be doing it on my Twitch channel. I'll be posting a ton of my YouTube videos up on this YouTube channel, so make sure you stay tuned, hit that like, that subscribe, that notification bell so you get notified when these videos drop. Peace out. Enjoy your time out in Paldea. Woo!